Hi, FlossTube Stitchers, and can I say Happy New Year, even though it's February already? I always kind of thought that I was allowed to say Happy New Year all through the month of January if I hadn't seen the person yet, so I feel like that still applies. I thought that I would have shown you my Christmas slideshow video by now, but as some of you know, I've had some technical difficulties with updates to the Apple photo library. And I did have a conversation with the supervisor a number of weeks ago, and it turns out that I didn't even have the latest update, but the latest update didn't solve the issues. And I had spent so many hours putting my photos into the type of situation that would work in the slideshow as opposed to just putting them directly into iMovie. And they were in the right shape, they were labeled, they were in order, and I felt to start over again was just very disheartening. So I still keep thinking that I'm gonna figure out the bugs, maybe have another conversation with somebody about the updates. I'm telling you, I watched videos, I Googled things, I tried everything I could think of, and it's sad to think of how many hours were put into it and then it couldn't be done properly. So I do hope to throw that out there sometime, hopefully in February. I mean, I don't even know if people will still want to see it, but it's close enough to being, I mean, it's finished except for actually producing the slideshow. So I feel like I do want to throw it out there, and I probably won't even announce it. It'll just be an extra one day. This is Freebie February, so I am going to show a Freebie designer chart every day. So the Christmas video kind of doesn't fit into the plan, but because it's late, I'll probably just throw it in there someplace. So speaking of Christmas, I decided to show you one of my littles that was in the Christmas video, hopefully. I can't remember what display I got this from. But this is a prairie schooler that came as a little card with their automatics. And they would send a number of them, like, 50 or something. And they were to advertise the current group of charts that were coming out. So this one was advertising books number 140, 141, 142, and 143. And two of them were actually fall and Thanksgiving designs, but the other two were Christmas. And so they would come up with something little that went along with one of their charts. And then this was like the advertising card that came with the automatic. And this was from 2007. I don't remember if I stitched it right away, but it is still, quite old. And I stitched it on linen. Maybe they use lamb's wool a lot, so I probably use lamb's wool, and looks like I used an overdye. I didn't actually find my notes for this since it's not actually a free chart that we pass out. I wasn't sure where to look for my notes, but it looks like I might have used an overdyed instead of a solid DMC, but he's really cute. It was just 3 colors. So that was my vintage stitch. And then I had something else planned for a new shop model that was kind of out of season, but Bonnie, my framer, surprised me yesterday by bringing in something that she had stitched. And so I have this new shop model, and the title is Kindness. It's by Heart and Hand Needle Art, and it can be found in the Mementos of the Heart book, which has other heart designs that were previously her collector's hearts of the year. So anyway, I kind of knew that she had the book, and I I think I maybe knew that she was going to work on this, but I was surprised to see it back so quickly. And she remembers using 32 blush Lugana. She thought it was Grace Notes, but they don't actually have a color with that name. So she had been on a few other Fabric of the Month clubs during COVID, and Be Stitch Me was one of them. So I tried that, and it looks like it's probably a Be Stitch Me fabric. So it's a pale, pale pink. I don't know what color she used. I neglected to ask her, so I can find out later. It looks lighter than what the designer used in her cover model, so I'm not sure what it was. It could have been something left over from one of the other collector's hearts, or just an overdyed that she already had in her stash. So anyway, I asked about these frames. I said, oh my goodness, I've never seen that frame before. Turns out it is a custom, and I would love to carry, some different colors and different sizes in the shop, but this one turns out to be $80. So I would look for round frames in the chain stores and maybe buy the frame first and then figure out what count fabric you want to stitch something on so it fits, because so it's available, if you want it, but a ready-made is often a less expensive way to go if you can find the right thing. All right, I'm gonna try, let's see, I think I'll just put this right back in the plastic bag so that it doesn't get nicked at all. And then my Freebie February started yesterday. And this is what I showed on social media if you didn't see it yet. The design was actually from Primitive Traditions and Needlework Press. And honestly, it was so long ago. This was from 2009. I don't remember who Primitive Traditions was. It could have been a designer. It could have been a shop in Vicky's area. I really don't remember, but it was from those two companies. I stitched it on 32 count R&R reproductions in the color 18th Century Brown, which I'm not sure is still available. And I did use the suggested color from their original, although I don't think I had seen a stitched model of it, but it's called Mare Blue. And of course that's right up my alley. So I just kept that the same. I don't know if you can tell, but the word persevere is done over 1. And this may have been one of my first bigger, stitches. Not that the whole project is that big, but I might have done my initials over 1, but I think that might have been my first, more involved project where I was forced to do something over 1 and it wasn't a choice, but it looks pretty good and I was really happy with the way it turned out. This is a Larson Jewel frame, and I checked today on the wall and it looks like it's still available. It's actually available in, I think it looked like 4 different colors. And maybe if somebody's interested, I can take a picture of the corner samples together, because if you want to stitch yours in a different color thread, then this frame might not work for you. So it's kind of a charcoal color, but there was enough of that tone in the Mare Blue that I think it looks really good together. So I did have 4 of these frames left so that I could kit it, but they were snatched up on social media yesterday. So I'm gonna look into how much it would be to reorder these in this size. It's certainly not gonna be the same price all these years later. It probably will be a lot more expensive, but I'm gonna check with my framer on that. So that was day 1. And day 2 is actually a new model that I got from my friend Marlene, whose birthday is on Halloween, so she has quite a few Halloween things in her house. This is called By the Light of the Moon. It's from the Primitive Needle. I don't have the chart in front of me that I would have had printed. It was given probably to shops on their autos or at a market or something. But Marlene did hers in 2009, so it's at least that old. I meant to look this up. The designer passed a number of years ago, 10 or 11 years ago, so it is an older pattern. Looks like it would have been a really quick stitch with just all those little tiny motifs in the background, but this is definitely Lisa's style. It looks, you know, just, you can always tell her witches and her trees. So I was able to borrow this over the holidays. I went to see Marlene a couple days after Christmas, and we went through her stitching, and I was helping her organize and match up fabrics to new projects, and I was able to bring back quite a few. I didn't expect to do this, but I brought home, I think, 3 boxes of her Thanksgiving and Halloween models that I could borrow for the shop. So this happened to be one of them, so I thought I would show this for day 2 of a free chart. So the way it's available online is through 1884 Stitchery. And if you go to that website, look for the tab that says exclusives. And she has 2, I think, of the Primitive Needles free charts. I don't know how she got them or how she got permission to use them. I know there's a lot more free charts, so I'm not sure how that happened. She might have contacted the family, so I don't know the story behind it, but they are available to download from 1884 Stitchery, By the Light of the Moon. All right, so that was day 2. So next Sunday I will have Monday through Saturday to show you, and then I'll continue throughout the rest of the month showing you a week's worth of freebies in each video. So my goal for this year, I've had this goal before, but it doesn't always work, but this year I just really had it in my heart to finish things. I don't know if it was all the time I spent in my craft room trying to organize things over the holidays. I mean, that's kind of an ongoing project. I don't know if it was because how many times I go looking for a thread and it's in a kit someplace and I can't find it, or if it's my age catching up to me, but I just really need to finish these projects. And since I was going to be starting a whole nother month of Freebie February, I thought maybe I would work on freebies from previous years and other projects that were almost finished. So that's my goal for the rest of the year. I had not planned anything for the NYE 12x12. I told my husband I was going to. I said, oh, I got to get my projects together. I think I'm going to stitch. And we didn't do anything on New Year's Eve, but I also didn't stitch. And he even commented, I thought you were going to stitch today. And I said, oh, I guess I found other things to do. And then on New Year's Day, I thought, well, I can do it late. Nobody cares. It's, you know, we make up our own rules anyway. And I actually ended up cooking and baking all day. And I just watched some things on TV in the evening, and I didn't even stitch on New Year's Day. So I kind of like, I took a 2-day break from my work, I guess, from my job. So I didn't do that. And then I thought, well, that's kind of setting me up for the month of January, that I'm not going to start anything new. So the whole month of January, I just finished things. So these are, I couldn't remember in what order I had stitched them. So I'm showing them to you just in alphabetical order of the designer, because I was keeping track of which ones I was working on, and that's the order they were in. So the first one is one of my freebie Februaries from 2023, and the designer is Barbara Anna, and it's called Let It Snow. And it might be a little hard to see. Oh, there, that's a little bit better to see the snowflakes, but in person it does show up quite nicely. I was a little bit worried about it when I first started stitching the white. When I started this project, of course, I only stitched on it for one day because I was going to start a new project the next day for Freebie February. So what I had done was the snowman's face, cheeks, and nose. That's all I had done. And one of the reasons that I didn't go back to it sooner is that I was thinking of changing the colors. The colors were a little bright for me, and I thought I was going to change the blue to something more like denim, and I thought I was going to tone down the pink. And the more I looked at it, I thought, you know, my snowmen don't all have to match. They're all going to look good together based on the theme. And a lot of my snowmen have blue anyway, whether it's part of the design or the fabric I chose. So this is Summer Sky 28 count Joblin, which unfortunately is not available yet. They discontinued it during COVID, and I didn't get a straight answer about whether they would, well, I think they didn't know if they were going to bring back this line of fabric. They were having some technical difficulties of their own with production. So I'm not sure. I do have 6 or 7 pieces that are available. So I may kit this. I kind of kept track of how much floss I used. So I didn't really do anything different except, let me see if I can get this close enough for you to see. The polka dots or whatever they were supposed to be in the hat, I did in Smyrna Cross just to give them a little depth, to make them look a little more knitted maybe. And then at the end, I decided to put a big Smyrna Cross in the middle of the pom-pom to give it a little more dimension. And I was pretty happy with that. I thought, you know, I could fuss for ages on that pom-pom, or I could put a real pom-pom there, but I thought, well, it kind of makes sense because actually, those are not, I'm sorry, those are not Smyrna Crosses. I started with the Smyrna Cross and they didn't show up the way I thought they were, so I did a Rhodes stitch. And that looked a lot more raised. That was the look I was going for. The only other thing I did was way up here in the word it. You can't really tell, but it was supposed to be a French knot. I did a colonial knot, and of course it's with 1 strand, so it didn't really show up that great, and I didn't care for the way it looked. Plus, it's really hard to anchor a 1-strand knot on your fabric, and I was just afraid that it might come out at some point. So I put a little tiny Smyrna cross dotting the I, and I was very happy, and it kind of went with the theme of the specialty stitches. So that was Let It Snow. Next is From the Heart, Love Mini Quaker. This was also a 2023 choice of mine for Freebie February. I did it on 32 Sage Joblin using Classic Colorworks Belle Soie in Rosebud is the lighter pink, and I forgot to take, I think it's Cranberry. Forgot to take it out of the, yeah, sorry. I was second guessing myself. So those were the 2 colors I used. The original model I think was done on a white or off-white. And as I was stitching, I stitched the, all I had done in 2023 for the one night was love. It was just that area. So I hadn't added the pink yet. When I started adding the pink this year, I thought, oh, I'm not sure I like that, but I was committed to it. I didn't have another pink to choose from the evening that I was working on it, and I just went with it. So what I'm hoping to do is to find some fabric that has similar colors in it to tie it in. So that's how I'll make that work. Then this is Heinzit Give Thanks. And all I had left to do on this one was to finish the turkey's body. And there's a mistake on the chart. No surprise. They had the eye stitched in the wrong color, so it didn't show up. And so luckily I hadn't wound under my dark tail yet. So I took the end of the tail and I did the same brown that's going around the border and the turkey. I just did an X right on top of the other X, and I don't think you can even tell. It was going to be a hassle to remove it because there's 3 shades of beige, and it's really hard to tell without looking at the chart where they are. And if I was going to fix that, I was really going to have to take everything out and start over again. And you know what? I'm okay with this. It's fine. It's just a wee little turkey. It's fine. So there is a little. He's supposed to be holding a little pumpkin charm, but I'm going to use that in however I finish it. It's going to go on the corner, in a bow, whatever, because I did mine on 36 count, and the pumpkin is too big for him to hold. So that's where I am on that one. Then I had a Jardin Privé Easter piece. I'll give you the colors now. I stitched the X's in Classic Colorworks Morning Glory, and I did the solid color back stitch in 158 DMC. And it's called Oeuf de Dentelle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Lace Egg from Jardin Privé. And this, let's see, this was a 2020 freebie February. And what I had done in one evening back then was just all of the X's. And of course, that is a hand-dyed thread, and it made it kind of busy. And when I went to do the back stitching, I thought, I don't think I can do that in the hand-dyed thread because you're not going to be able to tell what it is. So I put it aside, and then this year I found a matching DMC thread that would give it some life and that you would be able to tell where the back stitching was. So that's going to be some kind of ornament. Then this is, let's see if I can pronounce her name. This is La Comtesse et le Point de Croix, and this is on her website. And this was from 2024. And what I had done was just the pumpkin without even the face. I think it was just the pumpkin, because of course I only stitched on it for one evening. So I think this took 3 more evenings. I had to pick my own colors. She didn't list them. And the last thing I did was the boo in the cup. I wasn't sure which way to go there. The website showed it maybe with the same peachy color that was in the pumpkin, and I wasn't sure it would show up. I thought about doing it in like a light to medium gray, but then I was afraid I would put all that work in and wouldn't like it. I was going to put it in the embers that I stitched the pumpkin in, and then I thought maybe that was just too much orange in your face. So I gave my husband 3 choices this morning, actually, and he chose the purple. And I said, oh, good, because that's kind of that was my first thought, was that maybe I needed to add another Halloween color in there. So it was just called Halloween and maybe the year. All right, next this is from La Di Da, and it's called Love Ya. And what I had done previously, I think, was all of the lettering. Oh, no, I did some lettering and I did the border, and then I added all the pink. So I think I spent another 2 or 3 evenings on this. And I didn't tie off my tails for the pink yet because I was trying several different methods of satin stitch. I just wanted there to be like a little bit of a texture to it. So I did the bigger hearts in a double satin. So I went horizontally for the first row and vertically for the second row. And then the little hearts, I didn't think they would show up that well. So I just did just regular cross stitches for that. And this is on Vintage Stormy Night, 32 count from Zweigart. And what else? I guess that's it. Oh, I was going to tell you what I stitched it on. All this information is in the previous ones, but since these are from way different years, I thought you might want to know again. I did Carriage Black from Gentle Art and Red Pear from Weeks Dye Works. All right, then the last one that I finished is called Cookies for Santa by Val Stuff. And when I found this in my craft room, I was very surprised at how much I had actually stitched on it already. I stopped when I got to, let's see, the hat, the fuzzy part of the hat was done in a half cross in white, and my intention was to put white whisper as the top cross to give it a little fluffiness. And I couldn't find my whisper. It was in another kit and I just couldn't find it, and so I put it aside. The only other thing I had to do was the little teeny bit of back stitching, and I had to put the chocolate chips in the cookies. Come on, people. Why didn't I finish this sooner? This was a mania start in 2019. So the only thing left I have to do is to add the whiskers to the cat. And I'm not going to do that until after I press it, until it's really ready to be finished. And the last thing I'm going to do is put the whiskers on. I just don't want anything to interfere with how they look in the meantime. And I think I used everything she called for on that. All right. If you want to say I started something new, it wasn't really new, but it was the third in a series from the same chart. So I had been working on Pineberry Lane, The Fruits of Our Labor, and I had been working on 2 of them. And so one night, because I had all the colors and I had a third piece of fabric, I just started working on the third one. But it's not really technically a new start because I'm calling all 3 of them one project. Okay. Then I had some fully finishes. These are so silly because they were so close. I don't know why I forget that I've done something. So you probably saw this recently. So this was my little name tag snowflake from Bent Creek. It was a kit from a long time ago. And from what I can find, they really only had 2 in the series. I don't know why they didn't continue doing them because I think they're just adorable. But what I had forgotten to do was actually clip the little snowflake charm on it. It had 2 buttons. One button was supposed to be sewn over here. I decided I was just going to clip it. I have one of those pear-shaped safety pins. And then I found this really cute in my stash of mother of pearl, or that type button. I found one that kind of looked like a snowflake, but the blue button kind of covers it, and it's not really white. It's kind of off-white. So I just temporarily stuck it right at the top. I mean, it's fine the way it is, but if I really want to look for a whiter button, I also did not have a silver snowflake charm. I only had gold. So if I can find a larger silver snowflake, I might put that up there. But anyway, it's hanging on my little tabletop tree anyway. So basically called it finished. Then this was from a while ago, and honest to goodness, it was completely finished, except for all I had to do was put the back on. And that's so crazy because the great thing about these Canadian Stitchery kits is that this is a laser cut adhesive backing that fits perfectly. But I just was a little worried that I would, lift it off, or the dog would bump me, or the phone would ring, or I would get interrupted, and then I wouldn't get it on like super straight, and then I would have no recourse. So I made sure it was quiet. And the reason that I thought to do this, I didn't even have it out on my tabletop tree. And I had a customer come in, hi Shanna, and her son was waiting in the car. And then I think he came in to see if she would let him go into the card shop next door. So anyway, I was talking to him, and he was doing the same thing, the snowman. He was doing the snowman Ugly Sweater, they're called, the series is called Ugly Sweater. And he didn't finish it. And so we were talking about, it's really fun to start something new, but there's such a a different feeling of accomplishment when you finish something. And so I encouraged him to finish stitching his. And I went home and said, you have to finish yours, because that's just nonsense to only have the backing to do on that. The other fully finishes I had were all things that you've seen fairly recently, and they were basically pillow kits. So don't give me too much credit. I just trimmed them, cut some Warm and Natural to put underneath just to give them a nice smooth surface in the pillow, but I didn't make the pillows. They came this way. So this was a kit from Bent Creek called Flowerbee, and you saw it completely stitched. I just hadn't actually finished it. And it came in a little kit like this, and I thought, I'm keeping it in here so in between seasons, I can't use it as a shop model because it's not available, but in between seasons I can keep it from getting smushed. Then I did 3 Pine Mountain pillow kits. So I did the Be Jolly. I did not do the X's that make a circle around there because I feel like he barely fit without the X's. So I didn't know how I was going to get it sent. This was the hardest one I've ever done because he's so off center. You had to make sure that the feet were in the right place and that you didn't cut off the antlers. And so I left off the circle because I just didn't think it was going to work. And I did change it from Aida to even weave. I think this is lamb's wool Joblin. So it should fit the same, but I have found that I like doing a fabric that's a higher count than what the original was, just so there's a little more space around it. But anyway, I'm happy with how that turned out. My main issue was I had to figure out which direction I wanted the snowman to go. So I like that because he's jumping up there. So I enjoyed having him out completely finished this year. Then Happy Egg Day. I know I've shown this to you before. I'm not going to take it out of the bag. In between seasons, I put these back in the plastic bag and tie them too. So it just keeps them nice and neat in the bin. So I did Happy Egg Day, all completely finished, just needed to be trimmed. And then Love Is All You Need You Haven't Seen, because honestly, I forgot I was even stitching this. I don't know when I started this, how long ago it was. I think maybe I was going to stitch a couple Valentines for my nieces at one point because I don't normally decorate for Valentine's Day. But anyway, I decided to keep it. I don't have much Valentine's Day, so I'm going to work on that. What I had left to do was honestly just sew the button on. And the reason I hadn't done it is because every time I pulled it out, where the button gets sewn on needs a thread that matches the color in the button, which is like a pale gray. It's not white. It's not off-white. It's not blue. It's a pale gray, and I had to do it in just the right light and get a matching DMC thread so that from a distance you can't even tell that's thread. It just looks like part of the button. Seriously, but I honestly didn't even remember stitching it. So anyway, I'll be happy to have that out this year too. I did look, and Be Jolly was the only one of those pillow kits that's still available from Pine Mountain's website. Okay, those were all my fully finishes. I see that I'm over 30 minutes. I'm just gonna let this one go longer, and I hope I'm not sorry if it takes forever to load. But because I haven't been back for a while, I do have a few new things to show you. So we did get the January, did I put? Yeah, it's February 2nd, but this is the January Atomic Ranch Fabrics Automatic. And the color is Destiny, and the 36 count is out of its bag. So I thought I'll just show you this. So it's very nice, neutral. And you might think, why does there need to be an antique white overdyed? Oh, trust me, this is different. It's different from the antique white and the ivory and the cream, and it's really a pretty color. And the interesting thing is it does look a little bit different in the different counts. So this is 20 and this is 16, and the plastic isn't even what's making it a different color. It's just slightly different. but they're all really pretty. So this is all I have left. I do have more people participating in the automatic this year, so I don't have as much leftover fabric. So I have a 1/4 yard each of 16, 20, and 36. Then these have been on back order. I really was hoping to show these to you like in December or sometime, but they finally are making 16 count raw. I've been waiting for this forever. Same thing with the 16 count vintage country mocha, but I wasn't as happy with that color. But I just kept thinking, why don't they make 16 in raw? So I was happy to get that. I got a whole yard. It's $61 for the yard, so you can figure it out if you wanted a 1/4 of that just for your stash. And then this is a brand new fabric. It is 36 even weave Modena from Zweigart in the color wheat. I guess I should take it out. It's a nice brown. It's not too yellow, not too pink, not too orange. It's really a very nice neutral. It's very thin. So if you're used to stitching on 28 or 32 Lugana, the Modena is much thinner. And, you know, maybe you would think that you needed to use a hoop or some kind of working frame on it like me. I would probably need that. So anyway, those are the new fabrics. And then we have new charts. So I'm just going to show you the automatics. So Heart and Hand put out a frill to match their Big Hearted Tiny Town from a few years ago. So that's $6. And of course it looks cute by itself too, obviously. But you can add it to your Tiny Town if you haven't stitched that one yet. And then the 2025 Collector's Heart is $30. And Bonnie already has it stitched. And she was picking out framing yesterday. So that'll be fun to see that come back. Then Plum Street, I should have gotten this earlier too. It was delayed for reasons beyond our control, I guess. Salem Mini Moon and Salem Sampler. These are hard, but I don't want to take the time to take them out of the bags. And then Winter Moon. That is a lot of house to stitch, isn't it? But that's really cute. Then Stitching with the Housewives, their March Blooming Roots is called Daffodil Drive, and you get both of those designs in there. And their word swap is Valentine. Then the Teresa Kogut order was also delayed just due to high demand, and they kept apologizing to everybody on how long it was taking. They might have even had to reprint some things. So, I mean, I've had these for a while. I just haven't done a FlossTube. So, but I do have all of the titles left that came. Deck the Halls. Readings from St. Nick. Home for Christmas. Joy Christmas Ornament. Stuck Santa. Christmas Kitty. And then I can't show you everything that's in here because there's not a good picture that's not next to one of the colored charts. But I'm sure you've seen this 100 times over on social media, but this is her big Santa book. Hello Santa has this one and 6 other wonderful designs that are every bit as much stitching and every bit as cute as this one. I think I've seen this one the most often when people show their stitching. So that's been a pretty popular one to stitch, and it was probably a good choice for the front cover. All right, that takes me through the end of my list except for, and what happened to it? It got buried. I did want to let you know that we have our Nashville Cash gift certificates available for sale. And as you might know, I do things a little bit differently. I don't ask for prepayment for all the market stuff. honestly, I don't have time to run around market and pick up 1 here and 2 there and 3 there. So I concentrate on designers that I have automatics with. I concentrate on fabric and new designers and maybe accessories that are different. And then I try to get what people are looking for. If you order something and I have no interest in that product, or it's a limited edition and I don't want to stand in line, I will tell you, and so that you can order it from somebody else ahead of time. So anyway, I'm going to give away one of these $25 gift certificates. You have until the end of June. Honestly, I'm not that strict about when you use it, but it does get to be a pain after a while if there's all these leftover gift certificates from different years that aren't redeemed. So I would prefer that you kind of use it during the time period. You can use it for anything you want. If you don't see anything at market that floats your boat and you just want to get floss for current projects, you can use this for anything. That's the beauty of it. And I've had people say that they prepaid with other people, and then a week later, another designer will come out with something that they like better than what they already paid for. So this gives you a little leeway. If you order something from me and I say yes, I will do my best to get it. But prepaying just has different implications, and it's not the way I want to do business, and it's not the way I want to do market. So anyway, that's that. I thought I was going to break this video up into segments, but I just kept talking. So I don't think there's any need to go back and break anything up. I don't think I made any major glaring errors. So let's see how long this video takes to load, and that will let me know if I will ever allow myself to go over the 30-minute mark again. Okay, happy stitching to you all. Oh, I'm sorry. Tell me who your favorite designer is. That's how you can get in the drawing for one of these gift certificates. Okay, I will see you next Sunday or Monday morning. Bye.